Hello, hello, hello. So, I am trying to get everything set up because I am here live and I am so super excited. I am on three different electronic devices. Can you believe that? I'm on three different devices today because I'm so super excited. So, you'll see me all over the place in this thing today. I'm hoping that my sister will join me. I'm going to give it a moment and get some people to kind of join us live. All right, let me go on here on Facebook, see if I can get my fam to jump on here. I'm going to give it a few more minutes because I'm on here. I'm just waiting on y'all. Where you at, peeps? Where you at? All right, let me trying to get this all worked out. She trying to be cute. She trying to be cute today. She trying. Okay, I'm gonna let everybody know I'm live. Okay, where's my network? I'm looking for you. I'm gonna give it a few more minutes. It's just right at 12. We're at the top of the hour. We're at the top of the hour. It is Black Maternal Health Week. We are at the top of the hour, joining Miss QC Supermom in Queen City, North Carolina, saying hello. If you're on here, say hey. If you're joining in, say hey. I am live. We are trying to get some families to understand what it means to birth holistically during this Black Maternal Health Week. Today is the last day of our Black Maternal Health Week. So shout out to the Black Mamas Matter Alliance for all the work that they are doing to bring awareness to Black maternal health. Shouts out to all of the kindred partners who are working in conjunction with Black Mamas Matter Alliance to make sure that families are aware of what resources are in communities across the country. So shouts out to all of that and all of them. Shouts out to Miss Jabella. I am so grateful to have met this sister and talked to her about this effort that she is doing with the Black Mamas, the Black Maternal Health Week and Black Mamas Matter Alliance effort to bring awareness to Black maternal health. She has put on this 1 day long marathon, this being the last day of Black Maternal Health Week. Hey, how are you, sis? In a minute, I'm going to bring you on camera so that you can do a quick introduction and share with our community, especially my community, because I will be sharing this video with individuals in my community as well as throughout the network, throughout the donor community as well, about who we are, what we do, and how it relates to the support that we give. So we'll give a couple more people a few minutes to get on. And if you don't get on, there will be a link. I will post the link of this video again throughout all the networks that I'm supporting. So I am a part of this week's Black Maternal Health Week efforts. I am a sister in solidarity with the Black Mamas Matter Alliance as it relates to their efforts to bring awareness to Black maternal health. Looking forward to getting more information on becoming a kindred partnership with them in the work that I do here in my community. So I'm going to go ahead and get started because if you have a chance to look at the event on Facebook, find the event on Facebook. It is Black Maternal Health Week, Birthing POCs Holistically. That is the event. So go find the event, and we want to make sure that you are aware of the event. Share this video because I'm going to be dropping nuggets. As my girlfriend Tony Hill says, dropping nuggets. I'm going to be dropping nuggets for families as well as for doulas to understand the role that we play in this, in the experience and the birth journey of our families. So, with that being said, hey, Priscilla, we are still at the top of the hour. So, I am excited to share what I know. So, I am on the agenda today. And this sister, Miss Jabella, has put together an agenda of some amazing topics. So if you'll look on the agenda for today, it is a marathon that starts at 10 o'clock Central, 11 o'clock Eastern, that's going all the way to 11 o'clock tonight. So we're talking about marathon information, marathon content. We're talking about packing the house with nuggets and tips and tools that anybody would love to know as they're preparing for their birth experience. If you are Black and birthing in this America, you need to be aware of what your options are as it relates to your birth experience. And today I am going to get to tell you and share with you what doulas do. So my title for today's topic is What Doulas Do. Learn how doulas benefit you and how we enhance your pregnancy before, during, and after delivery. So I get to share the joys about why I love what I doula. You know, people who know me know that's one of my little hashtags. I love what I doula. And I do. And I love how I doula. And I love who I doula with and the organization that I represent. So I'm going to talk about all of that during this hour. It may not take me a whole hour, but however long I talk, y'all know I can talk about being a doula all day long. So I am going to share some information about that. So again, just wanting to give shouts out and kudos to Miss Jabella for putting together this marathon day for this last day of Black Maternal Health Week, birthing POCs holistically. We are going to make sure that you get what you need. If you are a birthing mom, please tune in. If you are catching this video, please share it with a birthing mom so that she'll understand, because I'm going to go over some really good information that will help guide families in their journey as to choosing doula support for their birth experience. So who am I? My name is Nakia Lawson. I am a birth doula. I am a birth doula trainer for Doula International. I've been certified with Doula International for a little over 10 years now. I have been training with Doula International for a little over 5 years now, and have trained doulas both in the U.S. and I experienced my first international training at the beginning of this year. So I'm looking forward to even expanding my training globally and allowing women all over the world to understand what it means to be a doula and to encourage and empower families on what it means to have a doula as a part of their birth experience. So I'm going to share some nuggets with you. And then I'm going to go ahead and in a little bit, and probably about a few minutes, I'm going to bring Miss Jabella on camera so she can share with you all the rest of the day, what the rest of the calendar looks like for the evening if you want to join in later on. And then you'll be able to share the videos throughout today's marathon for Black Maternal Health Week, and just in general with your network of birthing families. So we'll dive in now. What do doulas do? So doulas, as it relates to the work that we do, we are non-clinical support persons. I'm going to give you a formal definition that was listed by Doula International. I like to do that, and since I'm on 3 different devices, it's crazy to have this much technology and to be able to kind of share it. But I want to share it from the perspective of the organization that I represent. So according to Doula International, and again, I am a Doula certified birth doula. I am a trained professional. I am a trainer for Doula International. And according to Doula International, a doula is a trained professional who provides continuous physical, emotional, and informational support to a birthing person before, during, and shortly after childbirth to help them achieve the healthiest, most satisfying experience possible. Now, that is a brief description and just a kind of a general description of who we are and what we do. So again, understanding that we're trained professionals that provide continuous physical, emotional, and informational support. Nowhere in that is the definition clinical. We do not provide any clinical support. We do not do vaginal exams. We do not do heart tones and heart rates. We do not position babies for optimal fetal delivery. That is not what doulas do. So if it relates to clinical support, those are skills that are provided by trained midwives, certified and licensed midwives, and board certified obstetricians and gynecologists. That's what they do. Oh, and as well as family practice physicians. That's what they do. They're clinicians. They do clinical support to help guide families towards a healthy birth outcome. Now, in this particular talk, I'm going to refer to the birthing person as a woman, as a mom, as a female. For those who do not identify with that terminology, please understand that that is just what I'm using for this particular talk. And in reference to inclusivity, whatever pronoun that an individual represents themselves, however they represent themselves, is what we would respect. So during this talk, I will be referring to the birthing person as mom, mother, and female. And so I just want to clear that up. So when I think about the birthing mom and what she is experiencing during this particular journey and this particular time in her life, the goal is to make sure that she has emotional support, make sure that she has physical support by way of comfort measures. So doulas learn and understand very specific comfort measures to help support the birthing family, not just the birthing mom, but the birthing family as they're embracing and going through their birth journey. And so learning along the ways how to physically make her comfortable before, during, and in that immediate time postpartum. Those are some of the skills that trained professional doulas bring to the table. And then you have that informational support. So whether that be as a skilled childbirth educator or providing evidence-based information to families so that they are aware of the information that they're getting so that they have an opportunity to have informed conversations with their medical and clinical provider. So if a mom is seeing a midwife or if a mom is seeing an OBGYN for her, or a family practice doctor for her prenatal care and her prenatal clinical support, she'll be able to have these conversations because she can then go to her doula to ask questions and get evidence-based information to go back and share with her doctor. That is important. That is an important piece of what doulas do. And this is the work that we can do before moms go into labor. I say that as an educator. I say that as a doula. It is an effort that we make sure that we connect families with what they need to know before they go into labor. You don't want to walk into a situation where you're in the delivery room trying to educate your family about a possible intervention, about a possible situation or scenario, about a possible opportunity for her to have the birth of her choice right there in the moment. That should be done before. Again, we talk about what doulas do. We talk about what we do before, during the actual birth, and during that immediate postpartum period. So that's important for families to be aware of. When it comes down to it, I'm going to talk about the before part. When it talks and I'm talking specifically to families, and I could be talking to some doulas as well, so that it'll help you as you enhance your services to clients that you're going to be engaging in. These are some questions that clients should and may ask a doula that they need to know. And so they may ask, what is your training or your background? Our birthing families need to be aware of the training and the background that the doula has before you hire them or before you allow them to your birth experience. So if she is a doula who is what I consider a lay doula, a doula who is called to this work because she has a heart for the work, that is important that you understand that. It may be a sister who has had multiple pregnancies of her own. She has gained a lot of knowledge and insight from self-study, and she has gained some understanding of the birthing process. and she wants to share that with other families because she has a quite familiarity, or she may know a handful of doctors, or she may know the protocols in a handful of hospitals, and she's a good resource for that particular birthing family, and so she's the one that they want to go to. That may be her background, and that is sufficient for those families who need her as their doula. So keeping that in mind, whether she has that lay academic, that lay background, and she has a heart for the work, or she goes out and she has training from an organization like Doula International. We, and me as a trainer, we have a process by which individuals come into our training space. They learn the skills that it takes, some interactions. You learn about communication. You learn about interventions, how to support a family during interventions in the hospital. You learn about how to support a family who's having a birth out of the hospital. During training, you'll learn about how to support a mom who is having a cesarean delivery. During the training, you learn how to support the entire family. You learn your role as a doula and how that impacts the birth experience. As a Doula International trainer, that's what I share. I also share the cultural competency. When I step into a space with a Black family, there's a familiarity that goes along with that interaction. So I may know a little bit more about how to talk to Madea and Auntie about your birth experience because I have a Madea and an Auntie, and I know how to interact with them. And so it makes it a little bit easier during that birth journey because I'm culturally competent to be able to interact in that space. Or if I'm a Latina and I'm working with a family that is Spanish speaking only, it feels good to be able to walk into a space with a professional who understands the journey that I'm going on, and we speak the same language. And so it helps, whether it's an indigenous family that's native to this country and they're preparing their birth in a non-reservation type experience where they're doing it in a traditional hospital setting versus on their reservation, to be able to interact in those environments that are not inclusive to their culture, to have someone culturally competent by their side to offer that support is invaluable. You gain that when you attend specific trainings that provide you with the knowledge base. So whether you do it as a lay doula, where you've learned at the feet of the ancestors and you have gleaned from them and you have gained the knowledge base and you have learned it on your own, or whether you go and you sit in an academic space to learn what it means to be a doula, families may want to be aware of what your background is, and you may want to share that as a doula, what your background is, before you engage in families in community. So that's super duper important for you to understand that that's an important piece of how it is that we serve families. So just know that, and know that that comes up, okay? So have that and be aware of it. Also, if you're going to be working in conjunction with a doula for birthing families, know if that doula has a backup doula. Sometimes things happen and we can't make it. You know, there are some catastrophic events that have happened in my life in the midst of some birthing families, and I've had to call on a backup a time or two in the 23 years that I have been a birth doula. And I've been doing the work for 23 years. I started out as a lay doula. I started out with some heart work because my sister told me I could, because I had prepared myself to become an engineer. I did not prepare to become a doula. So I had no idea what the doula world meant. So I didn't have a backup. I didn't have an academic base. I just jumped into it. And then I realized I needed to learn more. So I stepped into the academic world when I joined Doula International 10 years ago. So keeping that in mind, now I understand the value of having someone else have my back. And just like I want to have somebody to have my back in all aspects of my life, I want somebody to have my back when I'm doing this doula work. So as a family, you want to make sure that your doula has someone who has her back, because sometimes life kicks in and your doula can't make it to your birth. And you need to know that she has someone who is just as skilled and just as competent to serve you in the capacity in which you need to be served, to make sure that you have a valued birth experience. And so she can identify, just like I can identify microaggressive behaviors that happen when Black mamas go in to have their babies. I want my backup to be able to identify those things. So I teach and I train those individuals who back me up what that looks like in the birth experience. What does it mean when a mama's chest gets tight because the wrong things are being said in her doctor's appointment? I can pick up on those things because I can pick up on that microaggressive behavior, and my backup doula can too. So when you're, as a family, interviewing a doula, you need to make sure you understand her background and her skill sets and what she brings to the table. You also want to know that of her backup doula. because we all need to have somebody that has our back, okay? So that's important as a doula, that's important as a family. And again, we're getting all this information before we go into labor. We don't want to walk into the labor experience and then something happens, it's around your estimated due date and your doula is nowhere to be found, or she's indisposed, or something happens in her life. We serve during holidays. So babies are born on Christmas. Babies are born on our birthdays and our family members' birthdays. I've had babies born on 2 of my children's birthdays. I've had babies born on my birthday. I've had babies born on Christmas. Or I've actually entered a birth on Christmas Day and didn't leave until a day and a half later because the baby came when it got ready. So we started out on Christmas evening and we had the baby a day and a half later. So those are the kind of situations that happen when we're serving as birth doulas before the birth experience. So families need to be aware that these are the sacrifices that their doula is making to be a part of their experience. So keep that in mind, what happens before the birth experience. Now, what else you need to know as a birthing family? You need to know how much your doula costs. Understand, having a doula is having an investment in your birthing journey. It's an investment in your birth journey, and you need to know what that investment is going to be for you as a family. So as a birthing family, before you go into your birth journey, know what that investment is going to cost you. If your doula has a fee, her fee is encompassing a lot of things, along with the sacrifice of her time, along with her expertise. Some doulas have small children and they have to pay child care. We have vehicles that we have to maintain and stay gassed up. There are supplies that we need, that we have to make sure of, that we are aware are in our doula bags. All of these things are important when it comes to supporting the family. So as a birthing family, you need to understand that when you are paying a fee to your doula, you're not just paying to have someone show up at your birth. You're paying for a whole lot of things that happened before you even got to that point that they're taking into consideration. If they're away from their family for a day and a half, there's time and expense to that. And therefore, there's a fee associated with that. One of the things that I do not provide and I do not offer in my birthing community and with the individuals who work through my nonprofit, the Natural Way Birthing Project, is free doula care. We don't do it. Free doula care does not exist because it's not free to anybody. So your life is important to me. And at the rate that Black women are dying in America, and I know the value of doula care, there's a value in the fees that are associated with doula care. I don't care if it's $100. I don't care if it's $1,000. There's a sacrifice that is being made because your life should no longer be the sacrifice. Black women should no longer be sacrificing their lives to have a baby. And therefore, doulas should not be sacrificing their compensation to serve our families. Even in situations where families have limited resources, we find ways to create a mutual reciprocity and a reciprocal love and exchange so that we can be able to support the families that need our care the most. So what I say in my practice, fair exchange ain't no robbery. But it's got to be some sort of mutual exchange. So just be mindful that that is a part of what you're doing and what you're experiencing when you choose doula care. You want to know what your doula's general birth experience is. How many clients have they served? So when you're a birthing family, you may ask these questions. How many families have you supported? What is your cesarean section rate? Some doulas are very aware of their statistics. And for those who, again, on the academic side or on the professional side that are keeping track of their numbers, I lost track. After the first few hundred births I supported, I lost track. I don't know my C-section rate. I don't know my induction rate. I don't know my epidural use rate. I don't know none of that. All I know is I ain't never lost a mama and I ain't never lost a baby. That's my rate. I got a 100% survival rate. That's all I know. And I am proud of that. So not only am I doula proud, I'm donor proud. That's right. Miss Reve Sinclair is on here watching. Hey, Madam President of Donor International is in here giving some love. So keeping that in mind, it's important for you to kind of have a general overview as a birthing parent, as a birthing family. What is the experience of the doula that I'm walking into? You also want to make sure as a doula, don't take your baggage into someone else's birth experience. We're not in the birth journey with that family to fight the system. If you want to fight the power, become an activist. Join an organization, join organizations throughout the birthing space. Again, I speak to Donor International. We have an entire department. We have an entire advocacy department for those people who want to fight the power. Do that outside the birthing room. Do that. Do that when you're attending events like March for Moms that's coming up in next month in May in DC. Fight then. Don't fight in the birth experience. During a mom's birth journey, during her birth experience, it is a sacred space. And in that sacred space, we are not fighting for her a specific experience. You don't go into that hospital environment fighting. I encourage all families, birthing families, with your doula, take the hospital tour if you're having having a hospital birth. You and your doula should take that hospital tour. If you can't do it together, you need to do it individually. Doulas, take the hospital tour where your clients are having their babies so you'll understand the hospital protocols and you're not going in there fighting for an experience that she can't have based on the hospital's protocols. Mamas, take the hospital tour where you're going to have your baby so you'll know what you can and cannot do when you get there. Mamas tell me, I say, Miss Nikki, I want to have a water birth. I want to have my baby in the water like I saw on one of these housewives shows. Somebody done jumped in the water and birthed their baby. I saw that on TV. I saw that on YouTube. And I'll ask, well, what hospital you having your baby? Oh, I'm having my baby at the county hospital. Honey, they don't offer water birth at the county hospital. You might want to find out where you are. You might want to switch and go somewhere where you can get what you want. As a doula, I understand the value of the support I provide the client that is wanting the birth experience. If my client says she wants to have a water birth and she's at the county hospital and I know she can't get it there, I'm going to refer her to the hospitals that offer water birth. Or I'm going to refer her to a birthing center. Or I'm going to refer her to a midwife that's going to allow her to have a home birth where she can have a water birth at home. That's the information that I provide her as a doula. That's the value of the support that we bring. So again, having the experience to know that, I'll be able to provide that. So again, that's super duper important that we understand that. Okay. Another thing, which is also going to be a part of today's marathon, is birth plans. So there's a whole section that's coming up this evening. There's going to be a wonderful speaker that's going to be talking to birth plans. But that is what doulas do as well. Before the birth experience, we help our families come up with what they prefer to have for their birth experience and their birth journey. And we help guide them through that process. And in guiding them through the birthing plan, they'll understand what that's going to look like for them. So you sit down, you come up with a plan, you come up with a process, you have the whole family. I invite the whole team to the birth planning session. So I want the team to come together and I want them to hear what this mom and dad want for their birth experience, or what this couple and the mom and the birthing partner wants for their birth experience. And so everybody gets to hear what they want. And so it's not, see, what had happened was when I had my baby, because here come the cousin. Or the big sister, see, what we learned in nursing school, it's going to be this, this, and this, and this. Or what my doctor told me. So you got all the family and the amen corner coming in and giving advice during somebody else's birth journey. As a doula, my role is to help them understand it ain't about you. Just like I realize it ain't about me. It's about that birthing family and what they want, and I help guide them through that process. I explain to people that I liken the birth experience to football. Anybody who has been to one of my trainings understands that I use my football analogy. Raise your hand if you know anything about football. If you're on here watching and you know anything about football, give me a shout out to all the football fans. Shout out your team and shout out that you love football so I can give this football analogy for all the people that's watching. All right? Whose team? What's your team? Come on, share it with me right quick. Okay, I'll wait. I know I got somebody on here from Carolina. I know I got somebody on here from Michigan. I know I got somebody on here from New York. I know I got somebody on here right here in Texas. Do y'all have a team that y'all want to shout out? If not, okay, for the women, y'all ain't into football. But there you go, Priscilla. I know you love football. You make fish and spaghetti on football Sundays for your husband. So I know you love football. So I'm gonna share my football analogy that I like to use when I train. All right. Understand this. Football, birth work is just like football. The Giants, Kansas City, Dallas, look at that. We got some football fans in the room. When we talk about football, we're going to talk about the most important person on the team. Who's the most important person on the team? The quarterback. The quarterback is the most important person that we are utilizing during that we're going to use for this analogy. So our quarterback is our most important person. That's our birthing mom. Okay. The offensive line is there to protect the quarterback. The goal is to advance the football down the field 10 yards at a time until we get a touchdown. So the quarterback has to make a play, or the quarterback has to travel with the ball to the yardage, from yards to yards to yards to yards to get to the touchdown. Mama is that quarterback. She is in control of that experience. She's in control of every single contraction. Her body is guiding her through that, because our goal is to get to that touchdown, which is to hold that beautiful baby in our arms. That is the process. The entire rest of the team is that offensive line, and their goal is to protect the quarterback. So everybody else that's on that football, on that birthing team, your goal is to protect mom. Go get her some water. Remind her to drink and go empty her bladder. Get her some food. Get a warm compress or a cool compress for her head. Massage her back. Come on, support team. I know, Asia, that's what we got to do. We got to encourage. And as a doula, what is your role? You are the coach. Where is the coach on a football team? On the sideline. You're on the sidelines. You're not in the game all the time. Sometimes you got to interject because you know what play is going to execute to make it better. But our role is to make sure, while we're in that journey with that family, is to make sure that that mom is protected. She feels protected and supported. She has what she needs, and her team is right there in the midst of that. And if that team is just her and her husband, and you're a part of that, then your role as a doula is to guide her husband, to let him be the voice in her ear, or her partner, and let her be the voice in her ear. If it's her mom, her auntie, her wife, whoever it is, those support persons on the team, if it's cousin, auntie, bestie, all those people, we're guiding them to support her. So that we make sure that when we go back to our wonderful day-to-day life, that mom and that family remembers the journey of what it took for them to bring that baby earthside happy, healthy, and whole. That's what we do. So I liken it to football, because when I explain this and I explain it to dads, they get it. Most dads get it. They understand the role of the quarterback. They understand the role of the offensive line. They understand that when the defense is coming at them, the hospital, the interventions, the what you can do and what you can't do, that's all the defense. They coming to try to attack the quarterback. And the offensive line said, we're here to protect her. We're here to make sure, Black women, get you an offensive line for your birth experience so that we can stop dying at the rate that we're dying. And part of that is getting a doula to be a part of the team. Understand how that all fits together. And so I use that football analogy because it makes sense. It helps out. It gives other people an opportunity to understand kind of how this whole thing works. Where is the doula's role? How does the doula fit in? And this is what we do before the birthing process. We get all this explained and understood before we start to have this baby, okay? Another thing that birthing families need to know is how they can contact and communicate with their doula. This is stuff that needs to be established in a contract. So because doula work is professional work, there should be a professional agreement between the birthing family and the doula. So a lot of doulas will walk into these experiences with a handshake. Okay, I'm going to be there for you. And then something goes awry and somebody's disappointed. That doesn't happen as much as if we have a laid out contract and we explain what it is that we do and what it is that we don't do. What it is that we expect of the family that we're supporting and what the families can expect of us. That would be, how do I get in contact with you? How do I follow through with when do you show up for me for my birth experience? When do you join me during the labor experience? Doulas should be joining moms during active labor. And if you're not familiar with active labor, go take some childbirth education. Go get educated about what it means to be in active labor. Doulas who are trained, they understand that if we serving our families during active labor, we're getting them in the time when they need us the most, when their emotions and their journey is getting a little bit more challenging, and we show up to help guide that process. Again, this is what happens when we're serving the family during the labor. So before the labor, we've got all our questions asked. We've got our birth plan and our preferences already laid out. We understand how it is that we're going to serve this family. We understand everybody's role that is a part of the team. We got the offensive line already ready to support our quarterback because we're going to touch down and meet this baby earthside happy, healthy, and whole. So we've discussed all of that before we've gone into labor. We've taken that hospital tour, or we've had a sit down with the midwife to understand what that birth experience is is going to be like in the birth center or at the home. We've done all of that before mama goes into labor. When we get to the laboring experience and it's time for her to pick up the phone and call us, we know that we're going to show up and be there and be prepared for her during the birth experience. We're there during active labor and several hours during the immediate postpartum period. That's when we are making our presence a part of the experience. So families need to be aware of that. Your doula does not necessarily spend the night with you. She may, and a lot of new doulas do. They show up really, really early. They hang out. They take a nap on the sofa. They get up. They eat. They play games. They laugh. They kiki. All of that's going on. And then several hours, if not 15, 16 hours later, we meet a baby. For those of us who are a little bit more seasoned, we're preparing our families before the experience so that when the time comes and she's actually in active labor and we show up, we've done a whole lot of things in preparation for the birth experience that we're not exhausting her or exhausting ourselves throughout the journey, and we're not giving 110%, or we're not needing to call in additional people to help support us because we don't have enough to give. So we got to make sure our cup is full as well during this process. So again, during the labor, you're there to make sure that you guide the team. So we talked about before the birth. During the birth, the doula's role is to make sure that all the family members who are supporting this mom understand what their role is, that mom has what she needs physically in terms of comfort, their specific touch, certain specific maneuvers and movements that we do to help the baby get in optimal fetal positioning, making sure that she's eating, making sure that she's drinking, making sure that she is emotionally connected to her journey so that her labor goes very, very smoothly, making sure that if she transitions from the house to the hospital, or she has to transport, from the house to the hospital, that situation is done with a little bit of a smooth transport so that she walks into the hospital environment and she's feeling safe, just as safe as she felt at home. She feels just as safe in that hospital environment. That is what the support of a doula can provide for a mom when she understands that she has this person who is going along with her, walking this thing with her through this entire journey. We need to be prepared to take a mom to that point. That's what we're doing during the labor. I have wiped bottoms. I have walked mamas to the bathroom, helped her sit down on the toilet, get up from the toilet, wash her hands, climb in and out of the bed, caught puke in the little Emerson's bag or the little Emerson's basin, as gross as it is a part of what I do. Okay? And those are non-clinical tasks that let her know I'm right here in this with you. I am right here to support you. I'm guiding her partner. I'm guiding her family members to be in the right place, in the right space, in the right time, so that she feels so connected to this journey that she remembers that her baby came earthside and all the love and support that it took to make this baby get here. That is what our role is. And during that birth experience, we can also help her find her voice. We will no longer silence Black women when they're having their birth journey. And if we empower them before they go into labor, they're going to be empowered when they're actually in labor. And so Black women in general, but Black women's voices have been silenced so much in this America as it relates to their birth experience that they are dying because of it. Case in point, Serena Williams. She's our prime example of when Black women are not listened to and the possible catastrophic things that could happen. Serena had to advocate for herself to be able to get the care she needed because she just wasn't being listened to. So we're empowering women to have this voice so that they can know. And as a doula, I'm going to help you with the words. I'm going to give you the tools that you need to talk to your provider before you go into labor so that when you get in that delivery room, it's very, very clear. When you get in that delivery space, it's very, very clear that we're all on the same page with what you want. And again, if you're not getting that from the doctor that you're currently seeing, go see somebody else. Find a new doctor. I'm saying it. I'm saying it now. Black women, if you are being mistreated by your provider, find a new one. If you do not know of one, find a doula who is very, very aware in your community, and she can help guide you towards the particular provider that's going to give you the birth of your choice. Do not be mistreated, abused, taken advantage of during your birth experience. The stress that it creates and causes is what's killing us. The heart conditions that we're dealing with, because our heart is pumping our clean blood to every different orifice of our body, it's working overtime just to deal with the stress of being Black and pregnant in America. And if we have doulas in our lives who can help guide us with where should I go and find a doctor who's going to give me the birth that I choose? What hospital should I be in that's going to give me the opportunity to have what it is that I need? So all of that's going to be super duper important for you to be aware of, and you can find a doula that's going to help connect you and guide you to the opportunity to have just that. We have got to start listening to Black women. We have got to start empowering Black women to have a voice in their experience. Black women, if your voice is being silenced, go somewhere where you're heard. In situations where you don't have a choice, then get educated about what your options are. Understand what your rights are and have a voice in your experience. Some women don't have birth utopia. I call Dallas Fort Worth birth utopia. We're here in Texas and we have everything you can think of. There are over 85 Black birth professionals in my community alone, from Black midwives, Black doulas, Black childbirth educators, Black chiropractors, Black herbalists, Black naturopaths. We have all of that. Black womb specialists. We have all of that right here in DFW. There are some communities that don't have one of those. There are some communities that don't even have Black midwife or a midwife at all. There are some communities that don't allow home births. If that's the community that you live in and your resources are limited, then you need to tap into the doulas who are in your community that look like you, that sound like you, that talk like you, that have some lived experiences that you have lived, that understand the system that you're about to walk into and guide you into a healthy birth outcome so that your stress level is down when you go to your doctor's appointments. No woman should go to her doctor's appointment before she even walked in the door, her chest is tight or her blood pressure is up because she got to go to the doctor. That's not where you should be. You should be in an environment where you feel safe. And doulas, you need to be aware of the safe spaces in your communities to refer mamas to. You need to find those safe spaces in the Black birth community that you have established. And if you have not established one, create one. You need to find the handful of Black women in your birth community who will come together so that Black women will stop dying as a result of childbirth. Racism is the underlying tone. We cannot undo racism with a clean brush, but we can undo the mindset of the Black birthing woman that she has to tolerate and endure the stresses of being Black in America and embracing this racism. We will no longer tolerate that. We cannot tolerate that as Black birthing women. And we cannot tolerate that as Black women during this time when Black women are so sensitive and so vulnerable to what happens in the exterior. So keep that in mind. All of that's important, especially when we're right directly in the birth experience. So let's talk about what happens after the baby is born. One thing I tell doulas that I train when they attend my birth doula training, you don't leave. You don't leave. Just because the baby is out doesn't mean that the mama no longer needs you and you've done your job, you've done your part. We're still a part of that experience during that early postpartum. That's what I call stage 1 postpartum, that early postpartum, those first few hours after the baby is born. They're still going to be coming in doing some fundal massage on mama's uterus. Her abdomen is going to be distended and tender. The uterus is going through the involution process. The placenta is being delivered. If mom has any kind of tears or repairs that need to be done, they're going to do that during that early postpartum period. We're going to help mom facilitate breastfeeding and skin-to-skin interaction and bonding. All that happens during the early postpartum period. I've had families that have very specific faith-related rituals that they want to do with their families. I'm there to be an individual holding space for them. I don't have to be a part of the experience between them and their child, but I can step aside and hold space for them to make sure that that is protected and sacred space. So as doulas, during that immediate and postpartum period, we hold space for moms. So we find that out beforehand. We find out what are some of the things that she would like to happen right after the baby's born. So we learn about rituals and we learn about religious practices and traditions that may be a part of her family journey. And so we do that so that we can make sure that we're supportive of what she needs and we can hold space. So that is a role of the doula in that immediate postpartum period. Okay, being aware that she needs that support right there in the hospital. She probably is a little bit of delirium going on. She don't know where she is, what's going on. Most mamas are exhausted, tired. I'm talking about TIED, tired. All right, they just need you to hold them up They need you to feed them some food or give them some water or whatever, or help them even hold their own babies. That can be a role that we can support the support person or the husband to kind of guide them around to be a part of that new family and help them, bond together. So we can do that as doulas to help create that, establish that in the very, very beginning. Breastfeeding is so super important. I truly believe that if mamas, especially black mamas, would exclusively breastfeed their babies in the beginning and within that first year of life, we can combat some of this maternal and infant mortality just by breastfeeding alone. If we go back to a practice that was our birthright, understand, breastfeeding was our birthright. We were commodities as black women. We were valuable to the master and to the mistress of the plantation when we were able to lactate, because black babies and white babies were birthed as well as nourished on the backs of black women. Period. As an inception of slavery, we were commodities to the plantation. So breastfeeding is our birthright. We have got to get back to a practice that has saved lives, not has, does, that saves lives. And as doulas, we help facilitate that early interaction very early on. We can encourage moms beforehand to learn the benefits and values of breastfeeding so that we can support them in that early postpartum. Now, as it relates to what we do as birth doulas in the postpartum, when they're doing that, what I call stage 2 of postpartum, which is that postpartum recovery, those first few weeks after the baby is born and mama's home, or if she was at home during that time, during that postpartum period, we need to go and visit moms. We need to make sure that moms are aware. And what I train doulas to understand, educate your moms about their blood pressure. Black women, your blood pressure is important to you to know. You need to understand what your baseline normal is, and you need to know what it means to be high. If you have not asked that question with your care provider, go to your CVS pharmacy, your Walgreens pharmacy, your Walmart pharmacy, your local town pharmacy. Get your blood pressure taken. Understand what a normal blood pressure is. Understand what your blood pressure is so that you can compare that after you've had your baby. It is so super important that as doulas, we educate our moms and our families about how blood pressure relates to the maternal mortality and maternal morbidity when mamas almost die as it relates to childbirth. That is important. So I encourage and I educate them as a family to know what that means, and I educate doulas to understand how to share that information with their families. Do I offer blood pressure checks? No, that's a clinical task, and doulas don't do clinical tasks. Do I educate my families on where they can get that done? Yes, that is part of that educational, informational support that I'm providing to the family as a doula. So I want to lay eyes on that mom, preferably within that first week. I like to try to go see them. If a mom is having a hospital birth, then I'll wait until she's home from the hospital. If I can't get back to the hospital to see her and visit with her, I like to go into her home environment to make sure that she's transitioning to motherhood very, very effectively. Now, one thing that I don't do is postpartum doula work. I am a birth doula. There are some doulas that do birth doula work and they do postpartum doula work. I am strictly a birth doula, but there are postpartum doulas who are part of the birth experience as well. That time after the baby is born, those several weeks, maybe 3 to 6 weeks postpartum, that is a very crucial time that a mom needs continuous postpartum support. Hire a postpartum doula. Hire a postpartum doula. Put it in your budget to have someone who is a trained professional who can come in and support you with physical support, educational support, informational support right after you have that baby, and comfort after you have your baby in your home to provide you with the means to transition into motherhood. Postpartum doulas save lives. Postpartum doulas save lives. There's a lot of information I can provide you as a birth doula before you have your baby. There's a lot of joy and support that I have as a birth doula in the birth experience. There is a lot that I know right after you have your baby to help you bond and facilitate and get breastfeeding started. But when you go home and everybody's back to their normal lives and everybody's doing what they're doing, there are trained professionals who will come in and help you transition just a little bit further so that we can see you to that first birthday. We need to see mamas and babies get to their first birthdays. It is vital and it is important. And postpartum doulas facilitate that journey. If you do not know of a postpartum doula in your community, please, please reach out and find out who they are. Again, I'm in Birth Utopia here in DFW. It's one right here on this live with me right now, Priscilla Moore. Amazing postpartum doula, a sister friend of mine, a sister who has my heartstrings. I love dearly with the work that she does. And I can refer to that particular support that postpartum doulas do. We need to make sure that doulas are a part of the journey before, during, and after the birth. Hashtag goal 366. Yes, we are trying to see 360 plus one. 365 plus one. We want to see 366. We want to get past those first birthdays with mamas and babies, and doulas make a difference. Please contact us. I am proud to be a donor certified birth doula, a donor approved birth doula trainer. I'm proud of that journey. But there are other doulas that are out here who are in communities who don't have access to what I have access to. Tap into what you have access to. Tap into the communities that are surrounding you, that offer birth doula support. Tap into what you need. There is no reason with the amount of information and these things right here, cell phones. This is a cell phone. It is at your disposal. Everybody who has a smartphone has the ability and the capacity to connect and get the information that they need to have a healthy birth outcome. Do not let ignorance be the reason, the lack of knowledge that causes us to perish continually day after day after day. Black mamas are dying at 4 to 12 times higher than our ethnic counterparts. And we have to stop comparing our journey to the journey of the white woman. We are dying because we are not aware of what our options are, what our rights are, and what our support can be. Y'all know I could talk about this all day. I could talk about this all day, every day. But what I want to do in these last few minutes of my time, I want to say thank you again to Jabella for putting together this awesome platform for me to be able to share what it is that I do. I want to thank everybody who is tuned in. I want to thank those of you all who are going to share this, who have not already shared it, who is going to share this live with your network, with your friends, with your family members, anybody who is pregnant at the sound of my voice, looking to get the support that they need from an education standpoint, as well as to get a doula. I have shared what it is that we do before we support a family, what we do while we're in the birth experience, and what we do after the baby is born to help bring that whole thing together. And so I've answered quite a few questions that families may have when it comes to the birth experience. I've answered some, I've given some examples and some analogies of what could possibly be the case for moms and babies. And I've shared with you some information about Black Maternal Health Week. Today is the last day. This is it. Jabella, if you're still on the line, I would love for you to join me and to share. Let's see if I can find you on here. I got to search all of these names. I got quite a few. If you're still on here, sis, and you're with me, I would love for you to come on the live with me. No results there? Okay. Let's see. Where are you? Are you still here? Jabella, are you still here? Hold on just a second. I'm going to try to get her on the live with me. Well, she may have stepped off and she may have stepped away. But this sister is doing her part to share during Black Maternal Health Week. Again, Healthy Moms Matter Alliance has created a week-long effort to bring awareness to Black maternal health. They have very specific kindred partners who have been doing events throughout this week. They have a toolkit that is available to share amongst communities of women to make sure that they know what information is out there as it relates to the birth experience. So all of that is available. Let me see if I can get her on share this camera with me. Nope, she's not. She's still not on here. So if Jabella comes back on, she'll be able to share a little bit more about her efforts. So I just wanted to say I'm grateful. I'm appreciative. I'm glad you hung in there with me. If anybody has anything that they want to share, go ahead and pop it in the comments. I kind of go back through and I'm going to give my shout outs to those who have been on with me. I appreciate Jabella for giving me this opportunity and this platform. Priscilla Moore, I love you, sis. Continue to do what you do to share what's going on with postpartum doulas throughout the country, right here in DFW. Priscilla is a part of Kappa, which is another doula certifying organization out there. Shouts out to my girl Priscilla. Denise Bowles, one of our donor certified birth doulas. Reve Sinclair, president of Donor International, Madam President, was on with us earlier. She's busy as all get out, but she had to pop in here. We're doing so much work as it relates to what's going on with Donor International to change the landscape, the tide of what's been happening, to share more about how Donor International can change the conversation around birth work, having Black women in seats of recognition, in seats of access, has been really, really powerful. I've just joined the board of directors with Donor International, and to be able to sit alongside Reve Sinclair and as a visionary to see Donor International do more for communities of color, do more for indigenous communities, do more for women to have access to the kind of care that we want to provide. I salute you, sis, and I appreciate you. Asia Kamari, one of my sweet birth doulas, who is hashtag trained by Nakia. So proud of you for being on here. I just want to shout out to you. Marquisha Rashon, thank you. Thank you for tagging one of your sister friends to get on here and join. Miss Alicia, one of the sisters in our community, another one of the Black birth workers who shares her love and energy for essential oils in the birth community. Definitely want to shout her out for just jumping on here real quick on the live. I just appreciate all of you all for supporting me and the work that I do here in the Dallas-Fort Worth community. Continue to support the work that I do. Continue to share that I teach free childbirth classes with the community every single month on fourth Saturday here in Fort Worth. Please be sure to let your families know. Miss Barbara Rivera popping on in here in the last minute. We at the last of this live, but I want to say thank you for jumping in real quick. I'm going to say hi to you, shout you out just because I see you in the live. All of you individuals who have been here and listening to me, share this live with your network. Share with families what it is and what it means to have a doula before, during, and after their experience. Share with them what it means to have a birth doula and a postpartum doula as a part of their journey. Find out what resources are in the community to help support families who may not have the resources to pay for and to compensate doulas, because we deserve it and we need to be compensated for the skill sets that we bring. Because again, we're part of that life-saving team for that family. It is my pleasure to continue to do the work that I do because I love what I do. I stand here, hashtag donor proud. I stand here, hashtag celebrating those who are trained by Nakia. I hashtag celebrate sisterhood. I hashtag celebrate each one, teach one, reach one. I hashtag celebrate normalized breastfeeding. I celebrate Black Maternal Health Week. I celebrate Black Mamas Matter Alliance. I celebrate all of you who are doing the work necessary to change the landscape of birth in America, especially for Black women. Priscilla, yes, it is time for change. Yes, Asia, Black women are on board. Yes, it is time. Thank you all. I appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and get ready for the next part of my day, and I'm out.